Cax and I have signed up for the Shores of Tripoli 2022 Online Tournament of Champions. How do we do? Let's find out here today on Legendary Tactics. So we're going to go through my first game as the United States side in the 2022 Online Tournament of Champions for the Shores of Tripoli. So just to give you an idea of my opening hand here, we've actually pretty good hand here. I like this. Naval movement is always useful. Congress authorizes action is great early game, and there's some opportunities to do blocking some interception rolls and so forth. Even going after Corsairs if they get out of hand. So, not every card's useful at the moment, but that's fine. So we're going to play naval movement off the top. I am a big fan of blockading Tripoli as soon as possible to prevent the piracy, and I can do naval bombardments from there if I need to or whatever, but I'm not going to worry about it quite yet. I'd rather throw up some protection against piracy in the early going. So we did that, and the Tripolitanian player took some Corsairs. We'll just take a quick glance at their hand. They can send a frigate of mine to Malta with U.S. supplies run low. And they can pirate raid from their allies, which aren't around. They can put some troops in. Actually, that's pretty good. I like that hand. I think that's fine. You can hang on to the Moroccan Corsairs raid and Tunisian Corsairs raid, hopefully to get the allies arriving in play next turn. So that's fine. So I'm going to play the Congress authorizes action to get more frigates ready to go. He sends one of my guys back to Malta, and I'm going to discard a card to move him back. I don't know if that was a great move in retrospect. It may have been more useful to either say even build a gunboat, but I was worried about the pirate rating, so yeah, but it's probably not a terrible move either, even though it's a bit of a waste. So then Murad Reyes breaks out, and there's that fleet of Corsairs. So we're going to need all the help we can get. The last turn I will build a gunboat, and there's going to be a pirate raid from Tripoli. We managed to sink 2 Corsairs along the way for 1 gold. So I'd say it's pretty good, pretty decent. And with 3 more frigates here, that's going to be very good. So, and I've got some protection against the piracy with Constantinople demands tribute. Bainbridge supplies intels, great insurance, and if an ally appears, I can pay tribute. And I've got already the cards to attack Dern and so forth. I'm not going to use that as sort of a land battle for Marine sharpshooters. That one's not going to be useful either, but that's okay. Again, not all your cards are going to be useful. So, but I will play the Swedish frigates and get them into play. So Swedish frigates arrive, and my opponent reinforces Dern, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to do some naval bombardment in Dern. We're going to split the difference here, and I get a gunboat to help out, and that is good to get rid of 1 troop. So that's good. My opponent builds another Corsair in Tripoli, so I'm going to launch the Intrepid, which is great to sink a frigate, but I was able, with the daring Stephen Decatur, I was able to take out 2 Corsairs, which I think is worth it at this stage to hamper that piracy issue. So which he just counters by playing a Corsair in Tripoli. So my last move of the turn is to essentially just reinforce the patrol zone in Tripoli, do another naval bombardment in Dern, Unfortunately, we miss with that one. So moving on to the next turn, we are in 1803. So we have to start thinking about setting up for Hamet's army. We have, we've got show of force. We've got tribute paid and show of force in hand. And early deployment's actually a great card if we can get a hold of another frigate early on. The Corsair's confiscated is useless now, so we'll discard that one. That one's not of any use to us. All right. Now, his first play is, my first play is early deployment. I'm going to get that frigate into the Tripoli patrol zone there, and that is going to be a big problem as far as piracy goes. That's a lot of frigates. Anyway, Storms hits and fortunately misses, which is good for me. And we're going to move 2 frigates. Again, looking to do some bombardment of Dern and soften things up, and we miss. My opponent plays the Sweden pays tribute, so Sweden is now out of the war and goes back home, so that definitely helps out with the piracy angle. I'm going to take back 2 coins, so I'm going to demand tribute from Constantinople there, and the Tripolitan player reinforces Tripoli with some troops. I guess it doesn't hurt, but to me it's maybe a little bit premature, but maybe the Tripoli sees the writing on the wall a little bit. I'm like sitting on show of force and tribute paid because I'm just chomping at the bit to use them, but don't have that opportunity. So we're going to set up Hamet's army, and we'll do another naval bombardment, and we miss, unfortunately, again. So my opponent reinforces Benghazi. So we've definitely got some troops to start making our way through. So we're going to have to do something about that. So we're going to hang on to those tribute paid cards and show of force. We've also can add some Bedouins to Hamet's army, which is good. So we're going to just get that done, get Hamet's army created. I like to play that as soon as I can. Let's free up that frigate because you don't want to have to move that frigate away. We'll see if the Philadelphia runs aground, and it does. We lose a frigate, but at least it wasn't captured, so that's a good thing for us. So we'll reinforce Hamet's army, and Tunis comes into play. Well, perfect. So this gives us a great opportunity to use show of force. We'll pull the frigate from Malta and one off the blockade on Tripoli there, and remove that ally as a force. And there's Morocco. Now, this is what's interesting because I'm sure my opponent's trying to get something useful from Yusuf Karamanli. So I'm definitely not going to let that be a thing. I'm going to pay tribute to get rid of Morocco and Tangier. Cost me a couple coins, but I think at this stage of the game I can afford it. And that's 2 allies down, so that is great. Of course, Algiers now joins the fray, and so we move on to 1805. Now, I don't have a lot of turns left. Things have been going okay, but I'm beginning to lean towards getting a treaty win, frankly, because Algiers is there. We can go into battle and sink those Corsairs with frigates and so forth. But, I've got a lot of troops to get through and a fair naval force in Tripoli to get through. So we're going to have to do what we can to get to at least Dern, and then we can sort of set up the treaty win because it's already 1805, and I think you need to move a little bit faster in general once Hamet's army is down if you're going to be pushing to get to Tripoli. So fortunately we picked up tribute paid again, and so we cancel out the last ally. Now it does cost us some coins, and our opponent's now at 5 coins, a little bit dangerous, but those are the 3 allies. They are done for the game, which again sets up a perfect opportunity for a treaty win. I have treaty in hand. I just need to avoid a Tripolitan frigate. That's my big risk. I can take Dern, I'm pretty sure, with the force that I have. So, of course, my opponent probably reads my intentions and moves troops to Dern and to prevent that. We'll do some naval movement, specifically to do a massive naval bombardment, which we completely miss on, which is brutal. And they play the U.S. supplies run low to send a frigate back to Malta. Now, the good news is I don't have to worry so much about anything else on the board. It's all about Tripoli, blockading Tripoli, and bombarding Dern and so forth. There's not a lot that I need to worry about. So I'm going to play naval movement again, reinforce Tripoli with a couple, and then send a couple. I'm going to split my forces up, and we attempt to eliminate some infantry and completely miss. So Tripoli is reinforced, and so I'm going to try one more time, and it's a bit of a waste maybe. We managed to get one troop in a naval bombardment. So my opponent builds the last Corsair in Tripoli. So we got a good blockade up. Yusuf Karamanli has been neutered. There's no risk there per se. The only risk is from cards like Storms or something like that. That's going to be an issue. So now Dern is still relatively strong, but I still feel comfortable with that edge. But I'm thinking I've got to end the game now. It's 1806. I've only got a limited number of plays. So we're going to discard down a bunch of cards here, keep only the ones we need, and you can see them here. So just in case there's a successful pirate raid or two, I hung on to Constantinople Demands Tribute to make it a bit harder for my opponent to win. I've held on to burn the Philadelphia in case there's a frigate that appears in Tripoli. I've got General Eaton attacks Dern. Hammett recruits Bedouins to reinforce Hammett's army if need be. But everything is lined up essentially for the treaty win here. I'm not going to be reaching Tripoli this game. So it's the Battle of Dern. We're going to send in a bunch of naval bombardment, and of course we only get one hit, which is terrible. But again, we're fairly overwhelming in terms of the force that we can bring to the table. We have also Lieutenant O'Bannon leads the charge, which is giving extra rolls on the Marine unit. So I think with this, now the opponent plays Mercenaries Desert. Fortunately, I don't lose any infantry to that. And now it's just a 1-for-1 trade. Then I get one hit, and then we finally finish. So we lost one and took out the 3 Tripolitan troops. So we are set up for a treaty win. The only thing that Tripoli can do here is to somehow get a frigate into Tripoli. They will not, unless I guess they could win by piracy, but they'd need one heck of a bunch of luck. Plays Storms, sinks a frigate, but the game is not going to go that much longer. And so we win by treaty as the U.S., which is great. Interesting game. I think the opponent played well. I just happened to have the cards to counter the Allies very quickly and to disable the power of Yusuf Karamanli's pivotal event card. And only having to advance as far as Dern is exactly what I needed. I would have struggled to get to Tripoli, and I don't believe I could have won Tripoli personally. I think it would have been a bit of a disaster if I'd had to go that far. But anyway, a win is a win, and we will take it. So we're going to move on to the next round of this tournament. And anyway, we hope you got some value out of this video and enjoyed this little walkthrough. Thank you so much for watching. This is Nato with Legendary Tactics.